Hey everyone, we'll wait around for a minute, see if anyone pops in. I say that I just looked into the sunlight, now I can't see anything. Oh, somebody's here. Good morning, or good evening, I guess. I always say good morning, so. What do you got going on this evening? Something exciting, I hope. Hey Norman. Stay survived. Howdy. It is bikes, blues, and barbecue where I live, and a traffic stop in West Fork. You're crazy. Prepping in progress. But yeah, no, I'm just out here. I'm actually waiting for my daughter. She's in youth group tonight, and it's pleasant. So I thought I would, I don't know, see what you guys were up to. And obviously, prepping in progress is just hanging around. You should be doing something important. It's been a busy week here. Of course, I've been healing or recovering a little bit, and then I actually realized that it was the motorcycle rally today, this evening, on my way into town. There's a lot of you're washing my sweatshirt. That is important. But I forgot. So today I went looking for it. It was raining, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get soaking wet. So I reached in the back seat, and I'm like, oh no, my sweatshirt's gone. Which is fine because it's been like 90 degrees all day. But yeah, so I'm just waiting on my daughter to get out of youth group. And, Gray Scout, howdy. And let's see, I have been watching some YouTube today. Well, I watched Prepping in Progress's new video. Hey John, hello from Michigan. Well, that was interesting. I got an email or a text message that somebody had bought one of the kits. Thank you. I think you'll really like it. I'm assuming that that Viking Preparedness's review went up, which is so for me to be nervous for it is really unfounded, because Cody makes the bag and he does a wonderful job. His gear is second to none, and Bear planned it out. I mean, he created it. All I do is order the North American Rescue stuff, and I have a web store that I can make it where everything kind of comes together, and do that side of it. So they do, hey bitty boo, they do all the work. They're the minds behind it. I'm just blessed to be, I don't know, a cog in the wheel, I guess. It is a great kit though. I really, really like it. I don't know. And Cody makes such wonderful stuff. Prepping in Progress is with me, and we're hey MechMaster, we're getting Sojourner Gear to make us a custom backpack. I hope you never use it too. That is the craziest thing about selling first aid stuff, or anything, any prepping stuff really, is I hope nobody ever has to use it. And I can't help that. But if you do, I know that it'll have quality equipment in it, things that'll last. And so I'm proud of that part of it. I like that, John. I don't know. I will try to remember that. I'm pretty hard on myself as a general rule. That I'm probably my own worst critic, actually. But it helps me improve. Oh yeah, back to the backpack. That he's a genius, and I'm blessed that I got to go to Sojourner's site. And Wes, I'm glad your body grew back. That was a heck of a band-aid. But I went to Cody's, his shop, his little sewing shop as he calls it, and he's got a great setup. And he spent just a few days on I don't have the derma clips or the zip stitch yet. I bought one to play with, but I haven't. Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue. I haven't bought any of them or tried to get in as a dealer. I want to wait until I can play with it a little bit. And you want to impeach me? Okay, well, I hope you don't impeach me. I don't know. But I guess if it's the will of the people, I don't know. Oh, but the derma stitch. So I have one that I want to play with before I get too crazy with them. And I haven't been out in the woods. I haven't had an opportunity, which is great. That's another one of those things, hey sheepdog, that I hope I never have to use. I'm certain I will. I don't know if you can see my scar there. That was the last time I tried on myself to do it. Rhonda, have you used them or practiced with them? The zip stitch. I mean, I have. My plan is if hopefully I don't come across anything, and then so I have to go get a chunk of meat or a roast or something. And when I'm teaching a class that I already have this stuff out, I've got a slimy blood substitute and stuff. And, hey, Grandma. So I'll test it when I do that. Well, yes, Wes, you cut your head off and fixed it with a Band-Aid. You're going to have a scar like that. I don't know. I kind of have a new scar. Not really. I mean, it's little bitty. That's where they went in for the procedure the other day. Oh, I'll let you guys argue that out. Yeah, keep us informed on how those go. You guys got big plans for the weekend, I hope. So, McMaster, that went by a little quick, but if you're wanting to get into EMS or earn money sleeping, which is not not what it really means, but sometimes it can be. My suggestion is that you start small. You know, go to EMR class or first responder at around here that our EMR classes is at the State Fire Academy or the community college. And then that's also where they offer EMT or emergency medical technician. Some states it's EMTA, states it's EMTB or basic. The EMTA is EMT ambulance, actually, has nothing to do with the alphabet. Yes, prepping in don't be that way, prepping in progress. If someone wants to get into EMS, they can certainly make a difference. They can certainly have a fulfilling career, but it's a hard career. Going from 0 to 100 miles an hour 8 times a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, is hard on you stress-wise. It's hard on your body. I still work in EMS or the fire service, but we work side by side with EMS, and a used ambulance is a lot like being an EMT if you have the right stuff in it. But EMS can be a rewarding job too. You really are where the rubber meets the road as far as healthcare goes. You get to be there when people are having their worst, their scariest, the worst day of their life, perhaps, if not the last day of somebody they love. And you get to be the arms of compassion for those people. You get to be where they need you, when they need you, as often as possible. Sometimes you're not there when you need them because of time and distance. And in this group, a lot of people of the preparedness mindset are homesteaders. We want to live off-grid, or we want to live further away. And so we move, 20 miles down a dirt road off of a back highway. And so when we need help, when we need emergency services, it's hard. MacMaster, that's a heck of a testimony. That definitely says that you're probably of the right mindset to be in EMS. It's one of those things that's not often just a job. It becomes a lifestyle, which it's not for everyone by any means. For the most part, around where I live, is most of the emergency services that are true emergency services. You can be an EMT and run what we call a transfer truck, where you're just driving from nursing home to nursing home and hospital and work, day shift. But for the most part, EMS works 24 and 48 hour shifts. And so you're at a station for 24 hours, and you may not run a single call. You may only have to watch the ambulance. But you may have to run and wake up every hour. I missed that, so let me go back. Five or 10 years, I hope you have that long. It's definitely good experience. A lot of people don't like to do medical care, and so they're certainly not gonna like it. You've got to be willing to see blood. You've got to be willing to see other things that are wet and sticky and not yours, and remember not to touch them. But the biggest thing is I would go get some training. Like somebody just mentioned, I apologize, I forgot who. Go get CPR, BLS for the healthcare provider, American Heart Association, or CPR for the professional rescuer from Red Cross. They're comparable. I have a preference, but now's not the time for that. And go get that training, and then go get some advanced first aid training. Depending on where you live, there may actually be opportunities such as the volunteer fire department, or sometimes they're called VASs, volunteer ambulance services, which are usually a basic level ambulance that responds so that the ALS or the paramedic service can be further away and less of them and so that they come in and they kind of meet, because all medical care starts on a basic level. It's all about air going in and out and blood going round and round, and remembering that any deviation of that is a bad thing. And so, I mean, you know, the BLS, or basic life support, is where it's at. And then as you need more care, then that's where the advanced life support comes into play, and thus the EMT intermediates and paramedics, and then flight nurses are mostly what the levels in our area in EMS. Now there's something new coming down the pike called community, what is it? Community paramedic? Community medicine? I forget what it is, what it's exactly called, but what it is that on an ambulance, and sorry guys, on an ambulance, you'll call 911 or a non-emergency number, and someone will be able to come to your house that's either a paramedic or an advanced paramedic, or a nurse, an RN nurse, and with some advanced training, and they'll be able to do clinic stuff, you know, like nurse practitioner, and they may be doing nurse practitioners that like, sorry, I got a comment off of my Patreon channel that makes me giggle. If you guys have never seen live stuff, they pop up at the top. So if you watch it all, you know I get distracted by squirrels pretty easy. But community medicine is coming. Yeah, Wes, we do too. And they're not always EMTs. Hey, Bear Engine. They're not always EMTs. Some of them are EMRs, or first responders, emergency medical responders, and that's what we do. We have what we call a tiered system. Is when somebody calls 911 or needs an ambulance, then they get the district that's closest may not have an ambulance, so it may be 10 miles away. And rocking the kingdom, I am in your town right now listening to motorcycles. And so you get the first responders or the firemen, who aren't always firemen, but they're always medical trained, and they get there and they kind of start the BLS care, or the basic life support care, until the paramedic gets there on the ambulance, and then they have some advanced equipment. I was told 2 years ago that Huntsville, so Rhonda, that subscription fee is actually, now I'm a little ways from Huntsville, and we call their service Mad Cow. It's Madison County, but at Mad Cow they have I believe it's an annual subscription. So like, hey look, a real squirrel. It's really there. So they have and because my fire department has the same thing, and so does the county ambulance service that services Rockin' the Kingdom's town. And I am so sorry that she is working this weekend. But and you pay an annual subscription, which what that means, and I think it's, I don't remember the fee, but it's I want to say AirVac is like $45 or $50 a year, and it's similar to that. And so if you need an ambulance, anyone in your house, other than billing insurance, there's no fee. Sorry, Black Blog, I'm in a pretty decent spot, so yeah, it really is. When you figure an ambulance is going to cost you $1,500 minimum, and if it's a helicopter, you know, you're paying, I'm going to say $60 a year. Then if you fly, then it's $30,000. And I like to read Wes's, so I got to go back. Stay, survive, that's the plan. is I think they're trying to go to that so that when somebody does have a cold or they're just sick, they don't necessarily get hauled to the emergency room and take those resources away. They can, they can be taken care of in the event that they can't travel, or that they're too sick to travel or homebound, that they can still get the care that they need. And so I'm hoping, I guess I could go from this way. Well, Wes, you're right. So, in my community, the fire department has the ambulance, and it's there a lot of the time, but it's also called into other areas as their ambulance gets called out. So if ambulance A is over here in my community, and ambulance B and C get on a call, they'll pull my ambulance closer to the population hub for the county. And it's kind of a raw deal for the little towns, but the big towns get, they have more population, so I understand it. It's hard not to think that, why isn't my community worth, hey Matthew, why isn't my community worth, having an ambulance there too? But particularly when I need it. Free spirit, I totally understand. Have a good time with your company. Thanks for popping in. And I'm going to take, for instance, somebody who just popped in. They live way out in the county. And Earl's daughter, hey, they live way out in the county, so they're only covered by an ambulance that is going to be 20-25 minutes away on a great day. On a bad day, they're further away than that. And for them, an air ambulance is the way to go, because those first responders, those firefighters can get there, they can do their basic assessments, and then that helicopter is normally, at least where I live, is normally already dispatched for cardiac calls, for stroke calls, for certain very time sensitive calls. Hey Dill. So they're already en route, they're already in the air, they're already flying, and then if they get canceled, it's no big deal, they just return to base or go to another call. But if they're needed, they're already almost there. Yes, I want pictures, Wes. Yeah, I want one of your patches too that you put on your sleeve. But get trained. Because of what we're talking about. Number one, if you live in any little community that doesn't have a dedicated ambulance, your firemen, your first responders mean well. Yes. Here's the deal. Mark Chase just mentioned something about that's a good response time, Lone Star, or in my opinion. And I'll go into that in a minute. I'll try to remember. But if you prep a landing zone or an LZ, most companies, like in this region, there are two main helicopters. There's Life Flight or Aerovac, and then there is Mercy Health. And both of those crews, or when you get a subscription to them, they'll take coordinates. They'll take GPS coordinates, and it doesn't matter what format you give them to them, they can convert them and do the math for you and say, okay, this is where this person says that they can land, and they put that in the computer. So even though they may not land there, because every pilot makes that decision on their own, from conditions and things like that. But I'm distracted. Church is getting out, so I keep looking. But each pilot makes that decision on his own, and so they may or may not use your landing zone or your LZ. And I wanted to talk about something, so let me go back. Oh, okay. So Lone Star Prep says, that the volunteer fire department was there in 8 minutes. So you need to know. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, Patriot Prepper. So when a call comes in, you call 911. Even though they're still talking to you, they're almost always already thinking of and dispatching the appropriate units. But that process can still take, for a firefighter or an EMT to get out of the station, from the time of your call, it can still take up to 2 minutes. So that's 2 minutes of that 8. That's all phone call. Either phone call from you to dispatch or from dispatch to the ambulance or the appropriate unit. If it's a volunteer station, they're not always at the station. They may be at home. Matter of fact, they're probably most of the time at home. And then so they've got to come from wherever they're at in their community, hey Chipper, to the fire station or the ambulance station. And then so that's going to take, in a normal sized town, let's say they live pretty close and they had their shoes on and they were dressed. So that's going to take them another 2 minutes. That's 4 minutes and no wheels have ever started spinning. And so by the time they get in the truck, get the door open, start it up, then, I mean, there you go. Yeah, that's where that 8 minutes comes from. And Wes, you're right. Choppers are holy cow expensive. Easily $30,000. And so if you lived in the middle, like I'm in Fayetteville today, so if I lived in the middle of Fayetteville, I wouldn't pay for a helicopter subscription. But where I live, I'm further than 10 minutes from a hospital on the ground. And so it's worth it to me to pay what I pay. Of course, I do it in multi-year blocks, so I don't really know what it is a year. But, and I should look into that. I apologize for not knowing that. But, they don't send itemized bills before. But so for, even on the high side, some services may be $100 a year. But usually that's for your whole household. So in my household, that's 4 of us. And we're pretty active. My health is not great right now. My kids are really active. They do lots of things. My son, Scout, likes to do crazy things. And so the helicopter's worth it. And Mark, yes, a lot of times the helicopter services or the fire departments will come out and they'll, like in our community, a guy just decided to say, hey, of course he's a hospital employee that knows how important it is. But he's like, hey, I've got this field. There's no power lines anywhere near it. The tree lines are defined. It meets all these criteria that they gave him on a list. It's got road access directly to it. And so they actually brought a helicopter out and a member of their crew ahead of time and landed there. And he's offered to, how much do you want me to keep mowed? I'm talking with my hands. And so he takes care of that. And the fire department guys know that if they're anywhere near that and they need a helicopter, they can get them to the place, relatively quickly. And that way, by the time the helicopter gets there, which for the most time, flight time is about 15 minutes. Sometimes it's a little more, but normally it's 15 minutes, of which 8 of that, we just talked about that breakdown, 8 of it is the very, very basic first responder getting on scene. And he can get there and go, we need a helicopter. And they'll keep coming. And even if they're not automatically dispatched, by the time you get the patient stabilized to the best you can, if you need a helicopter, they're probably not very stable anyway, or you would drive them. And you get them packaged and you get them in a ground ambulance, which usually gets there right after the fire department, and that you load them in the ground ambulance and you take them to the landing zone. Unless they can be at the hospital in less time than the helicopter, then helicopters are great. I mean, they're expensive. I've paid for one to take my daughter. She got kicked by a horse and I expected her to walk out and hear that. When she was little, she got kicked by her horse, and she lacerated her liver and her spleen, and had a whole bunch of internal bleeding. And so we actually, of course, at the time, my wife and I were in EMS, and we didn't have any phone service. So we called on the landline from my parents' house and said, okay, we know we're 40 minutes from the hospital. We're going to drive towards you. I knew the fire service. I was higher level trained than they were. I had all my equipment. My wife was higher level trained than them. One of us could drive. And then we said, we'll meet the ambulance. We'll probably be the only car with the flashers on. That's a white car with its flashers on, and we'll pull over as soon as we see the ambulance. We pulled over. I scooped her out of the car, jumped into the ambulance. We got to the hospital, and they still said, they did a CT, and they said, oh my gosh, we can't handle this. We've got to fly her to Children's Hospital. And so they loaded her on a helicopter and took her to Children's. And I got to see that bill, and it was astronomical. After insurance, it was about $17,000. Money well spent. I like my daughter a lot. She's pretty and nice, and she's forming into a great woman. And so, if she was a terrible kid, then I guess it wouldn't be worth it. Well, she has to be to put up with you. She has to be tough. I mean, that's a fact. Wow, I've just kind of went off on emergency medical services. All on I think you should go to training if you want it. Try it out. When you do EMT, then you're required to do some clinicals. And those clinical times are in the hospital, usually in the emergency room, but not always, but for the most part. And then you have to do so many hours or emergency calls on an ambulance with the crew. And it's worth, it's during that time frame you can find out if it's something you want to continue to pursue or if it's something that you don't want to do. And Rhonda, my family is absolutely the world to me. My daughter is a blessing from God, and my son, nobody's better. And my wife, I don't know. I don't deserve my wife at all. So rocking the kingdom, you live around me. So our ambulance service is Central EMS, and they have their main station is let's see, their main station is down by the Farmers Co-op. Sheepdog, I'm telling you, we're lucky people. But rocking the kingdom down by the Farmers Co-op on MLK and South School. And there's a message from my wife. So they have the greatest emergency training people that I have ever worked with, and I've been in emergency services for 25 years and 20 longer than that. And they go, and Josh is amazing, and they do an EMR class, emergency medical responding class, every so often. I don't remember what it costs because it's free to the volunteer fire departments, but it can't be too crazy. The book is about $100. Wes, I didn't say anything about the old hanging tree. And so the book's about $100, And then if Central is not doing a class in the near future, NWAC in Bentonville, the community college has both the EMR and the EMT. They're the only place around to go for EMT. If you pass the class there, you're gonna pass your national registry, hands down. I mean, they're instructors, though I disagree with a couple of them on a personal level. They're the greatest. They're smart, they're street smart, they've been around, and they share good knowledge with you, both to make you a good medical responder and pass the test. And usually it's one or the other. You either get somebody who's really wise about the street and how the real world works. If you could slap them smart, that would be great, but I don't think no amount of slapping could change some of them. But yeah, I mean, you should check them out. Start at Central and then go to NWAC. And if you have any questions on that, you're always welcome to email me. It goes straight to my phone, travis@adventurefrontier.com, or you can go to nwaprepper.com and there's a message link that goes straight to my phone. So I'll be glad to connect you with the right people and help you with that. There, right there, that's a message from nwaprepper.com straight to my phone. Oh, what did I miss? Yeah, I don't mind Lone Star. I would actually pool some other people, but that's pretty awesome, actually. But yeah, of course, go to that same thing. Either go to travis@adventurefrontier.com or go to NWA Prepper and email me. And you can even give me the general area. You don't have to tell me exactly where it is. And I'll be glad to look up the information if I don't know it. I know people that work in the, there's a light thing here. I know I'm bald. I know people that work in the water authority, which does rural water. And he or his coworker know everybody and everything. And they grew up here, and they're the guys that know everything. And they're good friends of mine. So if I don't know where it is, they're going to know where it's at. And probably the family history of everyone that lives in the area. That's like Wes was making fun of me a little while ago about, oh, you go down here and here and here. It's the same. And yeah. Mark Chase, my daughter is amazing. I don't deserve her. She has such a heart for other people, and pardon what I'm about to say, but she has no tolerance for bullcrap. Yeah. Yes, Wes, everyone does. And particularly that I'm alive. Particularly in the small community where I'm from, Wes. I either know them from work or my part-time job. Hey, Bruce. And so, I mean, for those of you that don't know, I work with the fire department and the police department. And then I volunteer at the homeless shelter, and so I know lots of people, and so I'm there. And I just missed that. Oh, Guns and Diesel. Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the channel. Welcome to the group. We have lots of great people here. And motorcycles. Oh. Wes, it's not bad. I know everyone in town, and that doesn't mean I like them. And vice versa. Everyone knows me, and there are certainly people that don't like me, you know, and that's okay. I mean, they don't have to like me. The good thing is if I don't like them, I just don't go around them. And for the most part, if they don't like me, they stay away. But what's important to me is even if I don't like them and they're in a pickle and they need something, then most of them know where the rubber meets the road, Travis will help them. And because I feel that way, I don't have to like you to want to make sure you're safe and that stuff. I'm in a parking lot, in case anyone is curious why I keep staring around. It's about time for the youth group to be over with, and so I keep looking. People keep looking over here like, what is he talking about? Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. That's true. I do. I can't really think of much that I wouldn't do for others, except at the cost of my family. And unfortunately, sometimes I sacrifice things for my family to take care of others too. That comes with being a public servant, I guess. And good Lord, it's been 42 minutes. Wise words. I wish I would listen to that. But I have a neighbor that I just don't care. We're just so polar opposites. And I don't like, I'm not big on community rules. If I want to build a shed, I should be able to build a shed. If you want to, you want to have a chicken in your backyard, you should. Okay, you couldn't remember my email last night. I have seen it. I'm super excited. Super duper excited. Enough so that in the evening at bedtime we have this thing in my house where we all go to bed basically at the same time, and I'll start out in my son's room because he's the youngest. Yeah, no chickens in my yard. Okay, that's not entirely true. No roosters in my yard. But so I go to his room and I check on him and I see how his day was, and he's got this glow stick thing I charge, and and then we talk about the day. We have this thing called bedtime amnesty program, where if they tell me what happened during the day, within reason. I'm not going to tell them murder and drugs are okay, but if they tell me something at bedtime, then I promise not to blow up on them. If it's something I didn't already know. And so we talk about that. I've got good kids. I seldom have to worry too much about that. And then I go to my daughter's room and I do the same thing. And of course, now it's different for her because she's a 16-year-old young lady. And so, though nobody's allowed to lock their bedroom door, she closes her bedroom door. And so I knock, and when she tells me it's okay to come in, then I go in, and she has a betta, a little fish that we talk about, sushi, that's the name. And then we go through, and since she was a little girl, I've tucked her in. And so that I'm like, okay, are you ready? And she's like, yeah, I'm ready. And so I grab her blanket at the foot and flop it up like a parachute. Anyway, it's just silly. It's for me, and she humors me and lets me do it. And so I tuck her in, and then we talk about her day, and the same thing with my wife. So I had read that message from Oki about some of the greatest chicken I have ever had at to me it was a mission trip, but so I went over there and he cooked it like under the stars in this lady's yard for 40 people, and it was the best chicken stuff I'd ever had. And so he messaged, hey, I'm coming through. I'm going up for an event. I'm going to have some extra. And so I'm explaining to my wife, and I'm this giddy about it. And she says, you're weird. And I'm like, you just wait until you taste this chicken. So yes, Oki, I did get it, but it was at bedtime, and I try not to send out messages that late in the evening. And yeah. Anyway, if you guys haven't had Oki cook for you, you are truly missing out. Okay, let's see what I've missed while I've been babbling. Alaska. Oh, thanks, Wes. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah, Mark, I'm very blessed. I live on family land, next to family land, next to family land. And there's county behind me, so I get away with things that other people don't. Because technically my backyard is not in the city. Biddy Boo, I believe that's how I feel too. And I think that's how it should be. If you have goats and they stay on your property, then have goats. I don't care if you have bulls and longhorn cattle. If they're in your land, you should be able to do it. Oh, so sometimes I visualize Wes with this big long wooden spoon just grinning as he stirs things up, and it's awesome. I'll go, Wes, I go on your live feeds or your live streams, and I just watch sometimes because I love it. You guys have such a great interaction. And you egg everyone on, and they poke back at you. And you're just awesome, Wes. I'm glad you're in my life. Oh, man. Let's see. I don't really have anything coming up. I have some leadership training I'm doing, but that's work and scout related. Wes S. the Mixer. I don't know. I bet Chipper66 likes to stir the pot a little bit too. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't have anything else really exciting going on anytime soon. Like I said, I'm having Sojourner Gear make a custom backpack, which I'm super excited about. And then, oh, Wes, that's just crazy. I can see that though. So the backpack we're having made from Cody at Sojourner Gear is to go. He is to go to SHOT Show, and I go to SHOT Show and I take. Of course, my best friends help me with Adventure Frontier, and so Bobo and Mr. Clean and Prepping in Progress, or half of Prepping in Progress. I don't go a day without talking to one of them or leaning on their counsel or needing their help. And so we go to SHOT Show in January because we can. You know, the business gets us where we can go, and that's like selling Spartan armor. I can do that because of SHOT Show. I picked up North American Rescue because of SHOT Show. It's warped my business into what it is today. And so when we go, I like to have, until this year, of course I didn't have this resource last year, it's, you guys are crazy. It's there's always the new backpack or the new pouch or the new hat or something that's coming out, like it's being released at SHOT Show. And some of my vendors, astrometrical, hey, I can usually get those before SHOT Show. And so a couple years ago, we got a new backpack from Condor. That was cool, and I thought it was great. Well, as we went, it wasn't, and I don't do many live streams, is why. I should. You guys are awesome, but anyway, so the backpack just wasn't what I had hoped it would be. And so this year I'm like, I want something that nobody else is going to have at SHOT Show. I want my friend, who's becoming my friend. I've just met him a few months ago, but I've worked with him for a while. That I go by all of the vendors, the people that make backpacks. It is between a scout pack and a full pack. As soon as he finished the prototype today. When it's done, I will show it off to the world. But we are gonna pass like all his fabric vendors, all the buckle people, all the things, the raw materials that he uses. I'll have an opportunity to meet with those people and talk to them, and hopefully to make some connections. I am talking about Cody, and this backpack is so awesome. And I sell backpacks. I'm a backpack and gear salesman, and I'm telling you, this bag is wonderful. Yes, Sojourner Gear, and so I'm really excited about it. He's taken things that each of my core group has. You should have Sojourner Gear make it, Wes. All my core group has things about this other pack that we were using that they didn't like. My thing was it wasn't very deep. And hey, Bobo is asking what I'm doing. It wasn't very deep. Bobo's thing was that it needed to have a laptop compartment in it. It's Wes, I will try to remember to send it to you after I'm done here. If I don't by in the morning, message me or call me. But I'll try to remember. Where was I at? Oh, the backpack. And then Mr. Clean wanted a certain kind of bottle holder on the side. And I mean, everyone wanted something different. So, and I'm going to go back. Stay survived. So I had a hiccup with my rucking. This morning was the first morning in over a week and a half that I've actually been able to get out. Last Wednesday, a week ago, I went in for a routine, it's been 5 years since I had anything heart related, but I've been having some headaches. And so we were ruling out cardiac stuff, and I went in the morning to have a routine heart cath and go home that afternoon. And when I got out, they're like, hey, you had some issues. We had to put in a stent, and this is why you haven't been feeling very well. And the headaches have been so bad that when I put on my backpack, it's just unbearable. And so I haven't for 2 weeks. That even being said, which I'm not going to take off my clothes. Hello from Oklahoma. I bought a new belt. And I know that to some of you that may not be a big deal, but to a fat kid, that's a big deal when you get to buy a new belt. Because I punched holes in the other one until it just looked like it needed repaired. And so I got a new gunfighter belt. That means you need to call that helicopter, Wes. And anyway, so it's getting pretty dark. I'm sure you guys think it's darker than I do, and we're coming up on an hour. I hope you guys, I mean, I've enjoyed the conversation a lot. I appreciate it. Stay survived I am. I actually just left my doctor this afternoon, and so I get to I'm going back to work in the morning, which is a big deal to me. I love my job, and so I don't like not being there. And I get to start walking. I can do basically whatever I want. I still have the headache, but I understand what it is. Hey Tommy, it's actually something to do with my degenerative disc, and we're going to work on fixing that on Monday. And so I plan on, because I took the water bladder out of my backpack so I could still do things. Rhonda, absolutely. Anyway, well guys, I'm gonna go. It's getting dark and my daughter will be out very, very soon. You guys are the greatest. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the encouragement and support. And remember, let's get ready. I really do mean it. Talk to you later.